Reaching Rosebud Creek, Crook had hoped to surprise the natives, but his presence had already been detected. A Cheyenne hunting party stumbled upon the army camp. The Cheyenne could hardly believe their eyes. It seemed, as in their words, the whole earth were black with soldiers. They raced back to the Sioux and Cheyenne village on the Little Bighorn River. The hunting party, wolf howled as they approached the camp. In established alarm, the elders decided Crazy Horse would lead the warriors to battle, while the rest remained at Little Bighorn. Warriors stripped for battle and proceeded to paint their faces and bodies for war. Women prepared the camp for a quick move, if necessary. Crazy Horse led the warriors, and they rode out at night. Sitting Bull joined them, but wouldn't participate in the battle. He would provide moral support. The Great Sioux War of 1876, which included the Rosebud and Little Bighorn battles, was prompted by George Armstrong Custer's 1874 discovery of gold in the Black Hills of South Dakota. Over the next couple years, settlers swarmed the region. Although the Black Hills were part of the Great Sioux Reservation, and according to the Fort Laramie Treaty of 1868, settlers were not allowed in the reservation. A previous allowance of off-reservation hunting for the local Sioux and Cheyenne meant frequent confrontations between white settlers and the Native American. The U.S. government tried to buy the Black Hills from the Sioux due to the presence of gold. Despite not reaching an agreement, the War Department ordered Generals Crook and Terry to begin removing the free Sioux and make them all move to their reservations in January of 1876. Escalations in violence took place that winter and spring, and coming summer, the Sioux and their Cheyenne allies gathered near the Little Bighorn River to discuss this issue and defend themselves. Crook's advance was part of a planned three-part June offensive. As he marched his men north from the Wyoming border, Colonel John Gibbon moved his men northeast up the Yellowstone River, and General Terry moved west with the 7th Cavalry Regiment, commanded by Colonel Custer. Reaching Rosebud Creek, Crook had hoped to surprise the natives, but his presence had already been detected. A Cheyenne hunting party stumbled upon the army camp. The Cheyenne could hardly believe their eyes. It seemed as, in their words, the whole earth were black with soldiers. They raced back to the Sioux and Cheyenne village on the Little Bighorn River. The hunting party wolf howled as they approached the camp. An established alarm. The elders decided Crazy Horse would lead the warriors to battle, while the rest remained at Little Bighorn. Warriors stripped for battle and proceeded to paint their faces and bodies for war. Women prepared the camp for a quick move, if necessary. Crazy Horse led the warriors, and they rode out at night. Sitting Bull joined them, but wouldn't participate in the battle. He would provide moral support. In the morning, 1,000 Sioux and Cheyenne braves approached the enemy. It's estimated Crook had 1,300 men. The battle began when Sioux and Cheyenne warriors clashed with Crow and Shown scouts, who were on the Army's side about 8 to 10 miles north of Crook's camp. Heavily outnumbered, the Crow and Shown scouts retreated fighting and spread the alarm, with the Sioux and Cheyenne following them. Sioux and Cheyenne warriors appeared on the ridges of the Army's camp. They organized in 2 groups, while a third one rode east to flank the Army from the south. The North group fired a scattering of shots into the Army camp, and then proceeded to an all-out charge. The warriors pushed forward, gaining momentum as they rolled down the slopes. As the Army was completely unprepared, the Crow and Shown came forward to fight. Native-on-native fighting ensued, buying precious time for Crook to organize a defense. Crook directed his forces to seize the high ground north and south of the Rosebud Creek. The Army advanced north and pushed the Sioux and Cheyenne back. In the meantime, some soldiers were ordered to take and hold the southern bluffs as a kind of defensive rearguard. When they took the southern part, the native group who was flanking attacked them, but the army managed to repel the attack. Some of the soldiers were sent and instructed to guard the army's horses. In the north, soldiers dismounted and formed a skirmish line, advancing toward the Sioux and Cheyenne. The natives retreated, taking the high ground, which made the army progress slow due to flanking fire from the northeast. During the army's advance, an event occurred that would name the battle for the Cheyenne. A Cheyenne warrior named Comes in Sight had his horse shot. While fleeing on foot from the advancing soldiers, his sister Buffalo Calf Road woman rode to his rescue. Comes in Sight jumped onto her horse, and the two successfully escaped. The Cheyenne called this battle the battle where the girl saved her brother. The Sioux and Cheyenne would charge up toward the soldiers, hanging on with one arm around the neck and one leg over the horse, firing and lancing from underneath the horses' necks. This made it hard for the soldiers to hit the natives. The Sioux and Cheyenne kept firing from a distance and attacked several times in small parties. When counterattacked by the soldiers, the warriors sped away on their horses. Crook soon realized his charges were ineffective. As the skirmish on the northeast was going on, reserves, the Crow and Shawnee, joined the line. They were halted by Sioux and Cheyenne fire and continued skirmishing from cover. In the meanwhile, on the northwest, the army pushed forward and the natives tactically retreated. They were drawing the soldiers in a trap. The soldiers found themselves a mile from Crook's and separated by the valley of Colmar Creek. In the middle, the army pushed north to take Conical Hill. They did it and would hold it for the rest of the battle. At around 11 a.m., Crooks came to the wrong conclusion. There's a native village close up north because of the Sioux and Cheyenne fierce resistance. He ordered the northeast part of the army to withdraw from the high ground on Crook's Hill and swing eastward to follow the Rosebud north and find the suspected village. He recalled the soldiers from the south side of the Rosebud to reinforce him on Crook's Hill. When the Sioux and Cheyenne saw half of the army retreating, they concentrated on the northwestern, exposed part of Crook's force. The natives harassed this part of the army from three sides. Around 200 soldiers held their ground for about an hour under fire from three directions, going back and forth with the natives. They were in danger of being cut off, so Crook sent orders to withdraw to Crook's Hill. Only a fifth of the soldiers withdrew and linked up, claiming later their forces northwest had been too engaged to withdraw. The natives northwest continued their attacks, so the soldiers began to withdraw southeast along the ridgeline. The Sioux and Cheyenne launched attacks, but were unable to break the soldiers. Then a large group of Sioux and Cheyenne charged boldly down the valley of Colmar Creek, attacking the northwestern part of the retreating army. Close and hand-to-hand combat ensued, with the soldiers being almost surrounded. They soon began to panic, but seeing the situation, the Crow and Shawnee charged and managed to push the Sioux and Cheyenne back. Crook then sent reinforcements to occupy a nearby hill to aid the soldiers northwest with long-range rifle fire. The Sioux and Cheyenne did not attempt any serious attacks on the reinforcements, acknowledging the longer range of their rifles as compared to the carbines other soldiers carried. The soldiers northwest continued their retreat and took a new defensive position, still being under heavy fire. From his headquarters, Crook sent orders to the soldiers northeast, redirecting them to turn back west and attack the rear of the Sioux and Cheyenne forces, thinking this will relieve the army's northwestern part. After that, Crow and Shoshan scouts started moving south to secure the flank. When the Sioux and Cheyenne saw the returning half of the army being exhausted from the fight, they decided to turn north and move away. The army pursued the Sioux and Cheyenne, but soon gave up the chase. After 6 hours, the Battle of the Rosebud was over. The army, Crow and Shawn, had 31 killed and 60 wounded. Crazy Horse later reported the Sioux and Cheyenne had 36 killed and 63 wounded. After the battle, Crook's forces couldn't resume their march north and link up with Custer as planned. They instead retreated south to their camp on Goose Creek near Sheridan, Wyoming. There they would remain for the next 7 weeks, awaiting reinforcements. The Shoshonin and Crow left Crook shortly after the battle. 8 days later, these same Sioux and Cheyenne warriors defeated Custer at the Battle of the Little Bighorn. I made a video about it a while back. Click on the top right to watch it.